excited. You guys have a packed out Zoom room.
Woohoo! Look, we're so packed out. We have Kami Dempsey and we're recording. Yes!
Yay! So we'll start over. So Kami Dempsey, first time ever on a Zoom for us. I think even a call. Like we've done some corporate calls, but never a personal level like this. So it like brings me to tears how excited I am and honored to have her. You know, I was a little nervous to ask Kami to be on just because she's busy and I respect people's time so much. So this is a big deal. And one of those things that I've got about 5 questions, Kami, because we do things in about 30 minutes, just because we feel like it goes over their head if it's passed. So really short and sweet and to the point, and that's what we want to do. But one of the couple of the questions, and this will kind of lead into it, was, you know, going back to, we didn't have Facebook, so how did I stay connected? And that was a big tip, was listening to the corporate calls and actually going to the meetings that we had back in our day. And even if it was 10 people, we showed up, didn't we? That was what we did. And so if you feel like some of these people are all over the country and world, so if you feel like you don't have something, you start with one, right? I mean, I think back of those days, if we didn't show up, people wouldn't come, but the more that you show up, I feel like more people show up, and it just grows and grows. So I think you would agree with me on that one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so excited. Why did we take 7.5 years to do this, by the way?
I don't know. I mean, I guess, you know, I respect people's times, and, you know, I don't know. I feel like maybe I should have. So I'm just honored that I finally was like, when you reached out and said, do you need anything? I was like, actually, yes. So team, I guess that shows you don't be afraid to ask, because I think worst case is it might just be not that day that we want it, and we'll make it work, right? So I think that's a good thing, is don't be afraid to ask for people for things. But so Kami, I'm just going to start with some questions, and if anything's like on your heart, then you're always so good with that, so we want that. But this is a question that came in, and I kind of added to it. So how do you convey the importance of getting started right away with new distributors? I need some tips. The last handful or two people that I've enrolled just never got started, never even attempted to do anything with their business before they dropped off the face of the earth. People are waiting, and for what? I don't know. I don't think they even know. I need suggestions to help get new team members going. So with that, what do you do to start a brand new distributor? And do you have a checklist for new distributors to keep them excited and going for the ones that actually want it and work? So I kind of added that in.
Okay, so let me ask you a question before I pull my notes up here, because I actually have a little new distributor checklist, because sometimes I feel like I lose my mind with, you know, having that brand new distributor, somebody that's going for Ruby, someone going for Diamond, someone going for Dope. You know, it's just like, how do you keep it all straight? And I don't want anything to fall through the cracks. But before I answer this question, I want to just clarify, is this like a kidnapper, like someone that never does anything? They sign up and they do nothing? Or is this someone that just like, how do I get them moving quickly?
I think, I mean, we do have kidnappers, so it wasn't said that way. That I just read the question and I added
so
two.
Just for everybody out there that doesn't know what a kidnapper is, that's a person that you talk to, they sign up, spend the $99, and then you never hear from them again. They ignore all of your calls, they ignore all of your messages, and all of a sudden they block you on Facebook, and you're like, what happened? Last time we talked, you were on fire, you were going to go double diamond in 2 days. Now all of a sudden you're nothing, you're gone.
Well, so kind of that, because it maybe life or somebody talked to them. So I don't necessarily know if it's a kidnapper, but, you know, maybe something happened from when they got their kit.
Well, so let's answer this in 2 phases. Let's talk about the kidnappers, because I believe, obviously, we can lead a horse to water, but we can't make them drink. So I think it goes back to, what are you saying to them when you sign them up? And I'll just, you know, edify you and Joel right here, Stephanie. I know for a fact when you guys are doing wrap parties and sitting down with people, you're showing them the steps to success. Like, this is what I'm going to ask you to do. And if this is not something you're willing to do, basically, then let's just get you started on a product until then. Because at the end of the day, you know, if whatever you're doing to sign them up is painting a picture of like Easy Street, or they're, you know, they just have to sign up and it's going to magically happen for them, then that would be the first problem. But at the end of the day, sometimes people do sign up. You've told them the right things. You said the right thing, but they're just, they're going to never do anything. And the chances are it's just the lack of confidence. They're scared. Fear has got them just stuck, completely like frozen, or they open their mouth to that one person that went, what are you doing that for? Or, oh my gosh, is that a pyramid scheme? You know, just that cynical person right out of the gate that makes them go, I don't know what am I doing? You know? So hold on just a second. Go out, please, son. No.
After chili, can I have this?
Yes. They like to take advantage of mom when she's on a Zoom, because then they
Can we have unlimited ice cream?
I'm under the computer going like this. You know, and he still keeps coming, but he knows he's got me. So I'm hiding in my bedroom right now, just so you guys know, to try to dodge all this. But so, you know, I just think some of that is beyond our control also, because what I do when I first started distributor is try to control the environment as much as possible to keep any of that from happening. And so I'll just go through with you, Stefani, like a series of like to-do list for me that I have with a brand new distributor. And quite frankly, it is very much like a to-do list. And the reason I do this is because my thinking is, if I can break it down in small chunks of like, hey, this is what our first thing we're going to do, second thing we're going to do, then there's a little bit of accountability on them too. And I can see how much they want to run. Cause I know someone like you would have been like, I finished it all in 5 minutes. And I would have been like, this girl's serious, you know? So they're getting more of our time and attention. And you do, as you grow your business, are going to have to decide how you're delegating your time. But if you're like me in the beginning, you were just looking for anybody to sign up. So once you got them, you're running with them, stalking them day and night to get them going. So my first bit of advice is become their friendly neighborhood stalker. And the best way to do that is just by being a really good friend. Think about, or when you first fall in love with someone and they're the first person you think about when you wake up. They're the last person you think about before you go to bed. You know, you think about them all day in between. That's kind of what you want to treat your new distributor like. Now, at the end of the day, let me just remind you guys, there's a spectrum of people. You know, 100% of people that we sign up in the business, 15% are going to quit no matter what. No matter what we do, they're going to quit. 5% are going to go Black Diamond no matter what we do. 80% is going to be impacted by how we do these things, to mentor, to teach, to guide, to love them up. You know, it's going to impact that 80%. And I truly believe a lot of my success in the business hasn't even been because I've sponsored a bunch of 5%ers. It's been because I worked with the 80% so closely that we found a 5%er, right? All of a sudden a 5%er would pop in your downline. So, and I have found a few 5%ers, fortunately, that I personally enrolled and sponsored myself. Absolutely. Go out. Thank you. They've never done this before, but I don't usually do 8 o'clock Zooms for this reason. Okay, so the first thing I do is I just say, we need to get started. Time is money, right? So we talk about the goal of getting their 4 loyal customers as quickly as possible, and we book their launch party, and I help them get that first post on social media. And that first post on social media is typically a very personalized post, like a selfie of like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Or like, hey, Facebook, hey, you know, with like a picture of a product in their hand that they're super excited about. And now they've joined the It Works family. So we do something like that. I also like to introduce them because I feel like it shows my team that I'm still sponsoring, but it shows the world that they just got on board. And for those that see it on their wall are going to come look at my wall then, you know, and kind of look for a little bit more like, what is she doing? What did she just start doing? So those are a couple first few posts we start with, and we book that launch party. Now, if they're not right in my backyard, that launch party might be a Facebook party. It might be a Facebook Live. It might be me Zooming in or FaceTiming in, but we get that party launched. And Stefani, I stole this from you. I call it a practice party, like no stress, even if they do it without me. Even if they get 2 to 3 people in the room. Now, just so you know, if I sign this person up at a wrap party or in person, we start messaging people immediately, inviting for the wrap party and just saying, hey, I'm super excited. Because here's what I believe. If we don't, this is where I try to really control the environment as much as possible. And if I can get them a win right out of the gate, they're a lot less likely to walk away and quit. and become a kidnapper, right? Because that little win propels them to the next win, to the next one, to the next one. And I learned this one day when I had had a girl in for a year, and she said, you know all those scripts you send us and tell us to send them out? I said, yeah. She goes, I never send them. I'm like, what do you mean you never send them? No wonder your businesses are growing. Like, this is all making sense to me now. And she's like, I'm scared. I'm like, what are you scared of? What they'll think of me. Do they pay your bills? No. All right, give me your phone. And I sent like 5 messages for her right on the spot, and every single person responded positively. And she's never had a problem sending a message ever since. So sometimes I just think it's getting them over that fear, right? And a lot of times the fear is not a reality. It's all the stuff we make up in our minds. So helping them capture that win right from the beginning, inviting for their wrap party, telling them they're doing something. Would you support me and be one of my first 4 loyal customers? I have a goal of 4 customers that I have to get on board this week. So those are a couple things I do. Scheduling the wrap party in the first 7 to 10 days. I teach them just like the right things to say about that. We start their contact list. Now, I don't start with a hundreds list right on the spot because I don't want to overwhelm them. I start with like 30 names, 30 people you'd love to spend more time with or you think would be interested in this product. And that's kind of how I make it very informal. I show them the It Works store and I say, we got to get a t-shirt, you know, and, you know, there's been seasons in my business where I'll even say, you get your first 4 loyals in a week and I'll buy you a shirt, you know, so that not everybody can do that. And I don't always do that. That's just something I do sometimes when I'm really trying to push momentum out of the gate. So we set up their It Works store account. They buy. I don't tell people they need party pads and product flyers and multiple shirts. And, you know, I'm trying to make this a very low risk investment. So I'm like a shirt, Blitz cards if you've got it, product flyers, or we can split product flyers. You know, I always try to have them give me a little bit of money for a handful of product flyers even out of the gate. So those are the products I try to use. Now we're downloading Wired and the Wrap app. What else? Oh, and I use, you know, whether you use Marco, Messenger, or Voxer, I have them use my favorite mode of communication so that we can be, and I tell them, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And if you want my time, then I need to know you want my time. Some of you, even though I say that, I still try to stalk the heck out of them. But I can promise you this, the one that takes me seriously is one that gets my time. Because think about it, if somebody's blowing up your phone, they're gonna get your time. They just are. If you're proactively sitting there thinking about who do I need to put out fires for before there are fires to put out, or who haven't I talked to in a little while, that's a lot less likely that that's gonna happen. I teach them some tips about talking about the product, always leading with the wrap, just some silly stuff like that. But then after that, the second thing that I do for their second little assignment is we talk more about getting 4 loyal customers. And then we also schedule a time for coffee, a phone chat, where we start messaging and we start developing their hundreds list deeper than just 30. And we're messaging. Because what I have found in the last couple of years is whether it's a wrap party or messaging, that's where I win big with people, because a lot of times they're just over talking, over complicated, or they get a no and they never communicate with the person again, where really it wasn't a no, it was a not now. And I can help them work through the follow-up beyond that. And it's just, you know, a few of those and people all of a sudden get it and the light switches off. We do power hours where we just sit together and we all give each other scripts that we can be sending, just very informal, not vomiting all over people, just something like, hey, I have a question. Have you seen what I've been doing? Where of course they're going to either go look at your Facebook or say, no, tell me what you've been doing, you know? So just some neat ways to strike up conversation or continue a conversation. So lots of hundreds list work. And then once they've completed that step, this is all getting started, so it happens pretty quickly. Print off the dream board. That's not always that we get to do that together. We try to do that as teams, obviously, throughout the year, but I tell them I want them to print it off. I want to know the top 3 things they're going for. It's going to help me develop their why and connect to them. And at the end of the day, when I get invested emotionally in my new distributor's dreams, then I care a lot more. I want to be there more. I'm more sensitive to their fears, frustrations, concerns, you know, wants, needs, and hates. And then if they don't have the steps of success in their hand, we make sure they have it in their hand. And why wouldn't they have it? I don't know, but I have that on my list just in case it fell through the cracks, because I want to already go, listen, let's put these names on it. You already did this, check, because it just makes people feel so good. And then again, just continuing to remind them the squeaky wheel gets the grease, plugging them into our Facebook groups, reach out, make friendships. I'll even, if their personality reminds me of somebody, I connect them with someone and build that relationship, because here's the deal. I am smart enough these days to know that I can't be everything to everyone. And so if I can give them a friend in this business beyond me, that's another person they're connecting with, another person hold them accountable, and just another friendship that creates loyalty over the long haul. And again, sometimes people don't join this business for money. They join this business for the relationships. And so that's just another way to connect people. This is like fun for me to go through this. I'm glad you asked this question. Because you get caught up in doing the mundane sometimes that you forget just how exciting it is.
Yeah.
So more contacting, again, sending a couple different scripts that I wanted to send to 2 or 3 people. So it's that constant daily income producing activities that you're showing them right out of the gate. You know, I'm all over them. Adding more names to their hundreds list. Have you thought about other people? Have you gone through your Facebook? Have you gone through your what do they call those books you get in high school?
Yearbooks?
Yes, yearbooks, you know, like going through the yearbooks. We dig deep here. And then, so that's kind of it for the initial getting someone started. But then we just repeat that over and over and over, you know?
So I think it's really that simple. I think people think that there's some magic, but we've done it so much that it's just that simple, and the more simple that you can keep it, the easier anyone can do this business. So I love that. I love some of the things that you said, like controlling the environment. That is something, absolutely. When your mind is right, guys, in this business, you will go far. And you got to listen to the right people. And that's why we have Kami on this Zoom, because I don't hear her complain. If anything were to ever happen, I think she uses it as a growing and a learning tool. Like, whoa, that didn't really quite work out the way I wanted to. Adjust and move forward. And so that's what we're here for. And how we ask questions, I think, is important too, and in a positive asking way, because we're more likely to do that. This is something, it's kind of funny. I always say, this is the only time in my life that I'm going to tell you to use me. You know, like, please use me. It excites me. It gets me going. It's like, that's what drives me, that fire. So that's what you guys want, is that excitement. So yes, use us. That's what we're here for. So with that, you've been in for, how many years have you been in, Kami?
It will be 11 years, March the 20th, I think. Where's my necklace that says? I think it's March 20th, 2006.
Wow. So over those years, you know, right away when you first got started, I want people to hear this, because I don't think people know. How long did it take for you to sign a distributor?
6 months.
6 months, guys.
6 months. And listen, I had like 11, what we called back then preferred customers. We didn't even have a loyal customer program. So I had 11 customers going into my 6th month. Okay. And I got like 9 of those the first month, right? Because you're super excited right out of the gate, and then you kind of hit a wall. But I think there's a couple reasons why, Stephanie. I don't think I knew how to ask for that. I don't even think it was in my, I sat in the back of multiple meetings watching my dad give the business plan for a previous company he was with. I believed in the business model. I could literally talk about residual income in my sleep, but that didn't translate yet into this business for me. And I truly believe it had to do with belief in myself, belief in the company. And as much as I love the products, my reason for joining this company, hands down, no other reason, was the money. And the building the multiple stream of income and knowing what this could do because of what I had seen it do for our family. Now, with that said, I believed in the industry. I still didn't have my belief in place for it works, and I didn't have my belief in place for myself yet. And I think that's what really held me back. And what's so funny is that first distributor I signed is Debbie Sasick, and she was actually a referral from my dad. My dad met her at a pool up in Ludington on vacation, and he had promised my mom he wouldn't talk about It Works while he was there. And this girl just was like, but what do you do? And they were entrepreneurial, but what do you do? And he finally said the rap, and literally she stalked him on his phone for like weeks. And finally one day he called me up. He's like, this girl will not stop calling me. She's driving me crazy. Like, will you call her and let her rap? And when she came into rap, I didn't even ask her to do the business. Like, I literally put the rap on her and telling her about the raps, and she's like, I have like 6 siblings. Could I do this as a business? And I was like, why, yes, you could, like, so you talk to enough people, your team is going to grow. It really is a numbers game like that. And Joel, you said this one time on a call we were on together, and I say this all the time. If you're not always planting seeds, there will be lulls of harvest, that you won't always have harvest. And so, we're not waiting for a season to only plant seeds. We're planting seeds all the time, because then we're always reaping a harvest. And so I just think, it's a numbers game, and you're really just continuing to get the wrap on people. And even if your confidence isn't there yet to talk about the business, it will happen as long as you stay in the game. And I was reminded this week, because I watched that Tony Robbins, Not Your Guru on Netflix. And it's like, you can be in the business for 11 years and have done something over your time in the business, but then you do something new for a while and you kind of forget what you did back then. And someone said, Denise says to me all the time, da 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 da. And I'm like, that's genius. And she's like, Kami, I got it from you. And I was like, you did? Oh, we did that? So that's why you guys will always see me writing things down. That's why I had all that stuff written down, because I'm human and we get doing something new or different, or we adapt something a little bit and we forget. And so I think it's always good to write things down so we don't let things fall through the cracks. But let me just remind you guys of something. And if you get nothing from the Zoom tonight but this, I want you to walk away with this. 80% of your success is going to be from psychology. That means it's in your mind. 20% is your mechanics. Mm-hmm. For any of you on this Zoom that are at least Ruby, for sure Diamond, you are Black Diamond. It's just a matter of time and getting the reps on more people. Because you have the mechanics if you're Ruby and at least Diamond. Because Diamond, you've even messed in the muck a little bit with some of the negativity that you can deal with this business. But you've got the mechanics down, hands down. It's all in your mind. That's it. That is the only thing holding you back from where you are now and where you want to be. And so when you get your mind right, everything else will fall in line. And you get your mind right by getting to events. By the way, that was one thing I forgot. With a new distributor, we get on the It Works store immediately. It Works events immediately, and look for that next corporate event they can get to, whether it's a One Team, One Mission, even a team rep party, where there's going to be more distributors in the room and they can hear and learn from other people, or obviously conference, green carpet, boot camps, whatever, universities, whatever we can get them to. So, but those are going to grow your belief. Reading the books. Joel, I know you guys push books all the time, and you even provide a lot of reading resources. Awesome. Take advantage of that, you guys. Sometimes when we're busy, the first thing to go is the personal development, where if you realize that is the most important, that is the foundation. Dave Sasek always says It Works is a personal development program with a compensation plan attached to it. And he couldn't be any more on point with that. Mm-hmm. When I've ever been stuck in my business, it's because I didn't believe I was worthy of the next level. I didn't believe, it was possible. I didn't believe that I had what it took. I started comparing myself to others. It's always been in my mind that has held me back. It's never been the mechanics. And I can promise you this, I certainly didn't have the basics, the basics of this business down to a science when I first started. I have certainly grown so much over time with my mechanics, my closes, how do I start a conversation? How do I, upsell? All that I've grown leaps and bounds. But at the end of the day, even if my mechanics still look like what they did in the early days, I'd still be Black Diamond, because my belief has been what has carried me when my mechanics couldn't.
Mm-hmm. I agree 1000%. And you guys, it's like she was, Kami saying, it's all in your head, and we're all going to have those moments, and it's okay to have those and to push through and to not quit because you had a bad day. Like, that's the difference. Your main difference of the top people is they haven't quit. They're going through it, and they're going to continue to get better. And so with that being said, I did not know what I was doing. I didn't know whose team I was on really at the beginning, but I did. And that's why I always say just practice, because the worst case scenario is you may get some customers and distributors, even if you're not doing. You don't need to know everything to get started. And I think that's the most beautiful thing about this is it's riding a bike. You sure don't look pretty when you first get on that bike, but man, you could become a marathon bike rider, So I know that's exactly how Kami started, and that's how I did. And that's the great thing, is there's no difference between us other than time and our belief in keeping our head right. And I know Kami would agree, if there was one personal development book that you could get, open the Bible. That's a pretty good one to start with, you guys. So I think that's awesome. So with that,
I don't know how anybody does this business without faith. I believe my faith has carried me through. And who was I listening to today that said almost exactly verbatim in our industry, like, you know, there's so many days where you're doing things that you are just praying. And I know Furtick was talking about it. Furtick was talking about it 2 weeks ago in his Windows series. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I've been thinking about that so much lately. Like, the greatest gift my parents equipped me with, knowing whatever my future held, I needed faith, you know, to believe in things that are not so that they will be so, you know.
Yes.
And so much of this business, you know, you're putting the wrap on someone, you're doing wrap parties, even if only one person is in the room, praying that that's going to be your runner so that you can go to the next level, you know. So I couldn't agree more. Bible is.
And you guys, we have faith in you. We see you and the potential and your greatness in you. So, you know, we're here to encourage you to get out there. So if you need to borrow it from us. Borrow our, you know, the tools that we've done, but we believe in you. So I love that.
I love the term that a lot of people used to use all the time. It was fake it until you make it. And I never really liked that. And then I heard somebody preach one day and they said, you don't fake it till you make it. You faith it till you make it. And I was like, that is a much better way to look at it, because
I love that.
You have to believe it in order for it to happen. So if you're faithing it, you know that it's going to happen. It's just putting in the work to watch it happen.
Mm-hmm. So this is a good one coming in to this time of the year with conference coming. We know, Kami, what happens this time of year and with conference and momentum. So, you know, this is what I want all year long for people. And we know this because we continue to work. So we've kind of grown this. But what's your best tip for keeping the momentum going and riding throughout the year? So what do you think on that?
Well, I would say staying plugged in, quite frankly, because, you know, I'll start it with this. You don't become a Christian and stop going to church. You probably need church more than that. You need the fellowship. You need to be around the like-minded people. You need to, you know, your focus forms your future, and whatever you're focusing on gets grander. And if you're not plugging in consistently, and I'm not just talking about like getting to meetings. I'm absolutely getting to meetings, getting to team rep parties, getting on team calls, getting on conference calls like the Show Me the Money call and the family call, getting to green carpet and those events. Literally, growing up, have you ever been to like a church camp or like a mission trip and you come back and you are so high and you think, I will never love Jesus more than I do right now? That's what your It Works events are going to be like. You're going to feel like, I didn't think I could love or be all in any more than I am right now. But I don't care whether you are a distributor, an emerald, a double diamond, an ambassador diamond, or a black diamond. Like, we all have our days of doubt. We all have our days where we just don't feel like it. And yet getting to those events help you continue to stay focused and continue to move in the right direction, even if you're not moving at the speed in which you want to move. But I'll tell you, Stefani, at any time I've lost sight of where I'm going next, you know, that verse in the Bible where it says, where there's no vision, the people perish. That's another thing, is like, you know, getting to events have kept me in the game, even when my vision wasn't I didn't have a clear vision of the next step. So events. But having that vision has been what has lit a fire under my rear end to get to that next level faster, not just at a snail's pace, you know. And my biggest recommendation when you don't feel like it, or you feel stuck, or like you're floundering, is motion creates emotion. Motion creates emotion. Sorry, it's like, so what that means to me is, even though I don't feel like it, if I do it anyway, the emotions will follow. You know, the other thing I would say is, motion creates emotion. And then, sorry, I lost my train of thought with what I was going to say there. When Mike Patillo always says, you know, when you're not feeling excited about your business or confident in your business, get to a meeting. When you are on cloud nine, get to a meeting because other people need you. And so again, events. And that doesn't just mean the large ones, you guys. Locally here, we do one-on-ones, wrap parties all week long. We do a weekly team wrap party, and anybody in the group can plug in. And then we build from the weekly team wrap party to the monthly one team, one mission. And then from the one team, one missions, we're plugging into Zooms, calls, Facebook groups, green carpets, and conference and universities, right? So I would say events.
And I think that the more that you're plugged in and the quicker that we can teach everybody to stay plugged in, the more successful that people become. I believe that. I heard on stage, and I don't know who said it. Well, and it might have been you, Kami. Whoever stands up, their check goes up. And I was like, well, dang it, I'm scared to live in debt, but I'm going to stand up. I'll do whatever I need to do. But I think that just seeing people, relating to people, or hearing somebody on a call or going, how the heck are they doing it? If they can do it, I can do it. And so even when I'm feeling like, I go because I'm like, man, that was so good. I got one thing out of this that I can take back and I can share with somebody that needs it. So I believe that. What's
funny is we talk about it and we say it all the time, but people don't really think about the actual terminology behind it. We're like, yeah, get plugged in. Yeah, get plugged in, get plugged in. And everyone's like, yeah, I gotta get plugged in. But if you actually think about that, if something gets plugged in, what happens? It draws power from whatever it's plugged into. The moment that you unplug your refrigerator, what happens? All of your stuff goes bad. So why would you ever unplug from whatever it is that's going to cause you to become successful? When you unplug yourself, it's like saying, guess what? I don't want that power. I don't want that success. Guess what? You're not going to have it. So you have to stay plugged in, just like your refrigerator, unless you just really don't like cold food. You just, bad food all the way.
Oh, no, I lost my note. Sorry, my notes came down. So a couple things. So we're talking about this, staying plugged in, doing all that. And with that, it's open your mouth to people. That's your business will be open. But there's only a couple ways we get paid in this business, right, Kami? And what is that?
At the end of the day, it's to gather customers and sign on distributors. That's it.
And that's
and wrap people.
Yeah, I think people think sometimes that there's got to be something else. They're saying something. No, we just talk to people, and I know that the more that you do it, the better that you get. And like she said at the beginning, if you don't know, reach out. Like, ask us for help. How do I word this? How can I do something like that? So this is something, and I think, and you might have already kind of gone over this, so let me read it before I say this. So this is good because we know that people
what happened? Dijo que iba a ir a...
Can you guys hear me? Uh-oh.
Okay, can you hear us now?
Yes.
Okay. So, this is something we are taking a look at. Who's really in? Who's all in? Who's committed? Who am I going to spend my 80% of my time with to go to that next level? So, this might look different. I've never asked you this. So this is kind of a good question is, how do you ask your runners how serious they are about working towards a promotion with you? Instead of them just saying, yes, I want diamond. How would you suggest or figure out who your runners are going to be, who you're going to work with? I think that's a good question. Hopefully.
That's a great question. And quite frankly, as you move up the ladder of success, you're always looking at how to work smarter, not harder. And so you can find ways to, like I say, kill two birds with one stone. But really my motivation is because of that runner. So like I might be going to do a wrap party with a runner, but I'm going to fill my car with 3 or 4 people that I believe have talent or they're doing the right things. They just haven't, had a breakthrough yet. So that's a couple of things too to think about, is working smarter, not harder. And how can you kill two birds with one stone? But, Stephanie, it's so funny that you say this, because I have someone on my team right now who will do these frequent Zooms with the people that she needs to be runners to hit her promos. But at the end of the day, she wants to see, are you all in? Are you as dedicated and driven as I need you to be? And she's done these several times, and these people over and over have been like, it's me, I'm your double, I'm your triple, I'm, whatever. And I challenged her before this next one. I said, because she's very like empathetic and very kind and sweet. And I'm like, when you ask that question, you need to follow that question up with, then show me. Mm-hmm. And show me. You don't miss events. I don't have to beg you to be at events. When we have conference calls, that doesn't mean you can make 100% of them, but Stephanie, you and I know, like, Mark does not give us warning about when certain calls are going to be, and yet we figure out a way to be on them, right? Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's the same with our runners. They are make a way, find a way kind of people. That may not even look like the results you want to see yet. Denise Walsh was no overnight black diamond, and I was no overnight black diamond. And I'm thankful somebody didn't give up on me, but I believe somebody saw something in me. It was the way I was consistent, the way I plugged into everything, the way that I was constantly pushing myself outside of my comfort zone and doing things that I'd never done, because I believe in the value of stretching yourself. There's so much about, pushing outside your comfort zone on a regular basis. So I'm looking for some of those characteristics that I know will make a phenomenal distributor, in addition to their putting in the time. And I'm not begging them, and it's not always on me. Think about when you're in a relationship. If you're the one that's always calling, always texting, always asking, do you think that person is committed as you are? They have to do things sometimes that show you that they want it, just like you do. And listen, I had a girl in my group one time that literally plugged into everything. She didn't miss anything. And I'll tell you what, she sat at distributor for like 2 years. And then all of a sudden, like that, she sponsored a couple people. And because she had all the right mindset, she'd been plugging in consistently, she blew up to double diamond in like 2 months. So 2 years at distributor, and then 2 months later went double diamond. Now, that's because she did the right things, and eventually she got the right results. That doesn't mean they always happen overnight. So I hope that answers your question a little bit, Stephanie.
And it does, because, we have people all the way from distributor all the way up. So it is kind of as you grow in this business, you're just kind of, oh my gosh, where do I even begin? Because you just maybe want that first distributor, You're like, oh my gosh, so that's my runner. It has to be. And so I think that covered everything. And for those that want more, we can obviously go over that. But I think that is so good. I don't know. Do you have a question, Joel? Kami, is there anything that you're just like, this was on my heart? Because
yes.
I mean, guys, I didn't give Kami these questions beforehand or anything. And I got a couple ideas, and I thought, I'd like to know what she does to get her new distributor started. And so some of these questions are really quite good for what we're coming into. But as always, I would just love, if there's something that's just on your heart, please share.
Well, the one thing I want to talk about for sure is, I want to know how many of you are feeling like, and this is anybody from distributor all the way up to black diamond. And I know I've gone through it multiple times in my business, where I just feel like the people I'm sponsoring, they suck. They're flat. There's no motivation. There's no drive, and what the heck is going on? And so I have this activity I do with the team, doesn't matter what level you're at. And that is, what does your dream distributor look like? And you can put together a list of 20 adjectives that describe this dream distributor. So let's just do 5 things, right? Disciplined, hungry, positive, consistent, fun. Okay, so let's put out those 5 words, okay? Let me tell you a story about one time when I bought my first nice car. I'd been in It Works for a while. It was time to buy a new vehicle. We could afford to at least have a payment every month, right? And we weren't even thinking debt-free yet at that time. And I knew what I wanted going into the dealership. And when I got in the car, it just didn't feel right. There's just something about it that didn't feel right. It was a big snowstorm that night. The guy said, listen, why don't you test drive this one? I'd never seen it and never heard of it. I don't think I'd ever seen anybody on the roads with this vehicle ever in my life. And now it's a snow blizzard and this guy's going to send me out on the road with this car. I get barely like 2 miles away and I'm like, I can't even go back. I need to go home. I call him. He says I can take it home. That car saved my life that night and I felt so safe in it. And I was like, I'm going to get this car. I've never seen this car on the roads before. Nobody has this car. I'm so excited. Literally the very next day, I saw these cars everywhere. There was that car. There was that car. There was that car. And it was just like, how had I never seen this vehicle before? Now I see it everywhere because I wasn't open to it. I wasn't aware of it. And just the other day, I had a distributor reach out to me and say, how would you respond to somebody that says this? And I said, well, first of all, tell me how you know him. And she literally said, I think he was high on something when I blitzed him. And I said, well, let me ask you this. Do you have high on something on your dream distributor list? And she was like, well, no. And I said, then stop following up with that guy. You know, I think one of two things happens when you get serious about who you want in your business. Number one, you start visualizing that person. All of a sudden, the waitress that brings the food to your table has those qualities and you're like, I got to blitz her. Where before you might have let the moment go by without talking to her about this business. But because literally she encompasses all 5 things you just put on that list, you can't help but say, I have been looking for someone like you to do this business with me. Have you ever thought about doing a business like this before? And once you go through that, all of a sudden these people are going to start popping out of nowhere, everywhere you look. And I think too often we're looking at the wrong people or for the wrong people because we don't know what we're looking for. And then the second piece of that is if you want to attract those kind of people into your business, that is the kind of person you need to become. And that doesn't mean we're perfect. Mm-hmm. I'm going for progress over perfection all day long. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, those can be some highlighted areas to you of what you need to be personally working on to begin attracting those kind of people into your business as well. And it's funny because some days somebody will just drop in your lap and they're like, I want to do what you do. And you're like, awesome. And they don't even know what you do, but it's just because you're starting to be that person that other people want to be around. And so my biggest homework assignment for you heading out of here tonight is this. I want to know at least 5 characteristics you want in your dream distributor for the year 2017. We are going into conference 2017. We're going to come out of there throwing gas on the fire, and your business is going to grow like you've never seen it before. Your team is going to be running for the finish line like they've never run for it before. But what I want you to do is have a clear vision of what you're looking for. For those of you that are like super hungry, super serious, write 5 different lists. So like you need 5 people to go ambassador, right? Maybe some of these people are already on your team. You just don't know it yet because they haven't embodied these characteristics. But put down the 5 distributor characteristics, 5 separate distributor characteristics. Give them 5 to 10 things each. And I promise you, people will rise up. If you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. If you aim for the moon, you'll land among the stars. So aim high. What do you want on your team? And then it's also going to shift your focus on that kind of person. You're going to stop sponsoring deadbeats and you're going to start sponsoring motivated, hungry people that want to change their life. And listen, when I say deadbeats, guys, I don't care if they got no money or all kinds of money. I mean the kind of people that are entitled, victim mentality. Nothing's going to change because the world doesn't do anything for me. Instead of the kind of people that say, listen, if it's going to be, it's up to me. And I got this. Lord, I got this. Together, we got this. I want to change my life. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I can give you countless names of people that will be walking across the stage that have the characteristics that you should be writing down on that list. Because here's what I can tell you. You start visualizing what you want and your focus is going to be formed. Your fight is going to be formed based on those lists. Mm-hmm. And so your homework assignment before you go to bed tonight is to journal either one long list of what you want people embodying or do 5 different distributors with characteristics. Write that down, put the date, highlight it, bookmark it. And I promise you at the end of 2017, when you open that page, you'll go, oh my gosh, my runners have that. Mm-hmm. I literally prayed you into my business and pray over that list. Oh my gosh, pray over that list. Because again, some of those people might already be on your team. They just haven't become the person that they're going to become yet. I promise you, someone didn't look at me before they got started and go, oh, that's one of the people I've been dreaming about. Now I might have had a couple of those characteristics, but now today they would go, she has everything I put on my list and prayed for and more. And still developing more. You know what I mean? So that's your homework assignment for tonight. That's all I got, Joel and Stephanie, unless you've thought about something in between.
No, that was so awesome. Thank you for sharing it.
Woo-hoo!
It's so exciting. So I think reading some of these, I mean, obviously they're so excited to have you. They're so motivated. They're so just ready. There's BOGO kits, guys.
Woo!
I mean, let's go get these people in. Help develop, get them to conference and watch. I cannot wait for them, for Mark to throw on the gas for this fire because I've seen it year after year. So if you're not excited, I don't know what, but.
I'm fired up. I feel like I need to go sponsor 5 people right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's me. So we love you so much, Kami. We can't wait to see you in just a couple of weeks. And you guys go show some love on Kami's page and tell her thank you because we know how precious her time is.
I will give everybody the next 3 seconds to take photos. So we'll just sit here and smile.
Yes.
Woo-hoo!
All right.
All right, guys.
Let's go, guys.